right, I'd like to call to order the Board of Education Finance Committee meeting for Monday, April 14th, 2025. Item number 2 is public comment. Don't see anyone here for public comments. We'll move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes. Included in our packet was the meeting minutes for March 10th, 2025. Does anyone have any corrections or changes at this time? All right, Tammy, did you receive any at this time? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented in the packet?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Okay, minutes are approved. Item number 4, discussion and consideration. We have the 2024-2025 capital improvement projects update. Mr. Latham, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, hi. Good evening to the Finance Committee. I just thought it'd be appropriate to come back and kind of give you an update where we're at with the 24-25 capital improvement plan. Is that we had quite a bit of projects this year, so this meeting will give the update to the Finance Committee, and then in 2 weeks, Mr. Dower, who's their interim director, will come and give you his proposed draft plan for his department for Fund 20, or Operations Maintenance, plus the 25-26 capital plan. So he'll know more of the details, and he'll have a better dialogue with the board. So this is a little bit about our projects that we had. I'm just going to go through some of those. So it might be a little more difficult to read. I do have another slide that I'll move to just to kind of help with some of the clarity. So when we drafted the particular plan, there were a couple items that were carryover. And this particular plan is color-coded. So the carryover items are in green. The items that are life, health, safety are in brown. And the other projects that were added for this year were in black. So some of the items that we had taken on at the high school was our life, health, safety improvement. We, of course, had our parking lot. We did have a need for some concrete sidewalk repairs. Our direct digital controls were put in place. We had some flashing repair and tuck pointing, so a lot of times roof upgrades and tuck pointing kind of go hand in hand. We had a switchboard that we had to replace. One of our largest costs was our boiler system at the high school. We did have a need for some flooring replacement, some office space that had to be updated. We had some cafeteria bathrooms that were outdated as well. Those needed some new fixtures and some upgrades that as well, and needed a little facelift. The stagecraft area, we had some hot water heaters that we had to replace. We did have some issues with our freezer cooler with the mechanical area, so we did replace that. That's important for our food and perishable items. We did have some major work done on our Burgess track and field with our turf replacement. We also added the scoreboard. We also added the softball scoreboard. And then we did have some security cameras that we have to replace. In total, there were about 65 cameras. 40 of those were replacements. And it changes the context of our camera from more of a single lens to a larger view and multi-lens process. At North, we did some additional concrete repairs, and we added some cameras there as well. For South, we had some gym flooring that we had to take on as a project this year. Again, some sidewalk and curbing, so we had some concrete work. We did some stage lighting, we updated some cameras, and we had some need for some changes to the server there. For Harrison Street School, we had, again, life, health, safety projects, concrete repairs, some roof work that had to take place, an elevator and server room with the air handling units, an 80-ton chiller was replaced as the largest cost for that school, and some exterior cameras. The additional work that we had done this year at Western Avenue was life, health, safety, a boiler replacement. We did use some unit ventilators, some air handling, some cabinet heater replacements, a little bit about $3.2 million. That was a major project at that particular school for the year. And you'll see this happen throughout our backup generators. We're either replacing them or updating them for the continuity of our operations. At Mill Creek School, life, health, safety, some playground area upgrades, boiler replacement, emergency backup generator, and some cameras. At Heartland Elementary, we had life, health, safety improvements, concrete work, flooring replacement, and we have a picture of that later on in the presentation. Large roof work that took place, and some exterior cameras as well. At Western Avenue School, we replaced the hot water heater, some gym flooring, parking lot, and some of our cameras. And at Fabian, life, health, safety improvements, hot water heater, tuck pointing, a burner replacement that we had to make, parking lot improvements, and exterior cameras. At Coltrap Educational Service Center, which is where we're at today, is our fan, coil, and condensing unit. We had our parking lot and that is to the north side of the building. There's a picture of that later. HVAC upgrades, our variable frequency for our furnace, additional cameras, and lastly at the Kesslinger Transportation Center, we had a wall panel replacement. Our parking lot was redone. That was done over the summer. We did some additional funds in here for the expansion of the parking lot, which will be to the west, and that just started. Some upgrades to our HVAC. An oil pit safety guard was put in place, and we added some air compressor and some cameras. So quite a bit of work this year. As you know, we did an estimation of $14 million worth of work that we put in place. Our capital plans usually include a couple additional items that we'll have in there that we hope to get to. If we don't, you'll see in this presentation there's some carryover items or items we plan to finish. Some we may or may not. It's just the nature of the business. Questions on the capital projects? Yep.
What are some of the typical projects that go into the health and life safety?
Yeah, so I brought some of those. I was going to say those later, but I'll just address those now. So at Fabian, we had a replacement of some door slabs. Those really had to do with some fire separations and continuity. Almost all the schools had some plumbing mixing valves, so when you see the hot water heater, we went back and replaced those as well. And some of our air and ventilation for a storage unit for our mothering room at the school. For Harrison, those health life safety improvements were a fire partition extension that was in our mezzanine walls. We did the plumbing valve updates and some laboratory sink locations, and we put an exhaust fan in one of the toilet areas. For Heartland, it was mixing valves, and we did some modifications to the kiln exhaust. Mill Creek, it was the same upgrades, plumbing mixing valves and upgrades to the kiln exhaust. At Western Avenue, we replaced some door slabs for fire separation and continuity. We also did some partition extensions for some of our storage and mechanical walls, plumbing and mixing valves there as well. For Geneva High School, we had the addition of some handrails and guards for ramps, stairs, interior and exterior for the building. We also did some lintel and some brickwork to some of the interior and exterior areas, mostly focusing on some flashing for one of the cafeteria areas. We've done some replacement of some deteriorated exterior doors, again, mixing valves at that particular school. We also had some backflow, reduced pressure zone devices that we replaced at the high school. There was some additional fire sprinkler heads that had to be replaced. And we had an exhaust fan that we replaced at our food prep area, our food lab. And we also did some elevator equipment upgrades. And lastly, GHS Burgess Field, we had some additional railings to some of the outdoor areas and the press box. We also did some fire sealant and some continuity to the ceiling ratings. We did some hardware replacement, and lastly, again, mixing valves out of that location. So those are all the life health safety upgrades that we've done that are just kind of generalized in this presentation, but that was the extensive list. Okay, so here's a little bit about that again that we talked about. Boiler systems, the track and turf field at the high school. We'll show a picture of that. It looks very nice. It came out. It was really nice work by the contractor. At Fabian, we talked about the hot water heaters, the tuck putting. The burner assembly, I mentioned, that was to upgrade the boilers at that particular location. For Heartland Elementary, we had some flooring replaced. I'll have a picture of that in the presentation. Roof elastomeric coating, so that's kind of the stretchy part of the roof that's added on there. You see that in white coating that we'll have a picture of. For Western Avenue, we have a unit ventilator. At Williamsburg, we have the hot water heater and Kesslinger bus garage. So there's two projects there. So for at home listening or watching, the current parking lot, we redid the whole parking lot, restriped it, and then we have an expansion parking lot that just started that will hopefully be completed somewhere here over the summer. That'll add additional parking for our employees. As you know, we brought a lot of the busing back in over the years from special needs, so we have a need for a larger parking facility. And lastly, we had an air compressor that we replaced there as well with some HVAC equipment. So in total, these are our continued projects from previous years. High school, we had some 22-23 health life safety upgrades. Our parking lot was upgraded from our 23-24 plan. Our concrete sidewalk repairs were from 23-24 as well, and we had a switchboard that went back all the way to 21-22. At the middle school, we had some curbs repairs from the previous year that we've brought over, as well as some additional work at Middle School South. The elementary at school at Fabian Elementary, health life safety upgrades, those are from 22-23. Our Harrison Street Elementary had health, life, safety from 22-23 and 23-24 curb and concrete work. Heartland Elementary had life, health, safety from 22-23 and concrete work from 23-24. And Mill Creek had quite a bit of work, health, life, safety from 22-23. We had some paving for the playground that was 22-23 as well. Boiler replacement from 23-24, and our emergency backup generator from 22-23. At Western Avenue, we had a health, life, safety from 22-23, boiler replacement from 23-24, emergency backup generator from 22-23. Williamsburg Elementary, health, life, safety from 22-23. We had some parking lot seal and coating that we had to complete. That was originally the 23-24 plan. And lastly, the co-trap parking, which was a 23-24. So if I look back overall, we had one project from 21-22. We had 10 projects from 22-23. We had 10 projects from 23-24. And this year in 2024-25, we had 11 projects that we're completing. So that just kind of gives you a summary of everything I've stated by the actual year. So we had quite a little of catch-up work that we've done that we're able to complete this year with a lot of good teamwork between us and our contractors and our staff. But I'd like to also add our principals in our schools. It's very important that we do these projects, that they work with us as well. We had a conversation today about our athletic department at the high school has also worked to help us get ahead in some of our projects and accommodate some of the schedules that we have. I think it's very important to point that out as well. Now, these are projects that were completed during the current year. So here's the pictures of them. So here's the Burgess Field with the track and turf that we put in. It was about $1.2 million. Those are the boilers for the boiler system that was added. We anticipate that work to be completed, and we'll close out the paperwork with final payment by the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. The parking lot was completed as well. There's a couple pictures of that. Those are mostly fire lanes. Those are at the athletic entrance and to the front of the school. The concrete work also you can see there with the lighter colored concrete, and our contractors are also noted because we want to compliment them on their working with us. And those were the major projects at the high school. These are the projects that we did at the middle schools. Those are mostly concrete work. So the top one, you can see where we basically, a lot of these areas that you see are actually where the buses will drop off our students. So it was important that we did that concrete work. So as they step off the bus onto the flat area, it was very stable, and we repaired all of that for them. So you can kind of see how that worked, as well as a couple entrances by the schools. And some of these are side entrances from parking areas for employees or parents. This is the tuck pointing that took place at Fabian Elementary. Looks like a very tall building from the picture, but I saw that, I thought, wow, we have like a 5-story building out there. But those are the things that we had accomplished this year with some of the mortar work that had to take place. We did have the the burner upgrades to our boilers. Those were completed by Johnson Control. They do a lot of our work for us in the district. And then we had the hot water heaters replaced. There's a couple pictures of Harrison Street School. So this is the fire lane access, which would be the north side of the building, which is the gym and the drop-off area. And the other one is the side entrance door. So again, concrete work that we had done there by Eagle Concrete. This is our Heartland Elementary. This is a picture of the floor that we mentioned being replaced. Very nice Geneva colors, blue and white, and I think they did a very excellent job with that. And then on the bottom left, you'll see that elastomeric coating that was put on the roof. So it comes out very white, and it's kind of has a little give and take to the type of sealant that we use. It's been very good for us. It's helped us find a very inexpensive way to coat our roofs and hopefully get a greater life out of them. And then there's some of the flat work that was done there through the concrete work. This is Mill Creek School, so here's another picture of the boilers. So a lot of times you'll see different types of boilers in our pictures. It has to do with the size of the school, the type of water capacity that we need, or simply the existing structure or location that they had to be placed. So this is the boiler replacement that we had at the top by Acitelli Heating and Plumbing, or Heating and Piping. This is the picture of the backup generator that we have. So when you think about the backup generators, so we don't have disruptions during the school day, that we keep the lights on for safety purposes. We did have one day where the power went out. We had to figure out how we were going to prep the food and deliver it to the school because the power went out at the school, so therefore they couldn't prepare the food. So sometimes we'd have to have a backup plan, and just all kinds of weather conditions that we have to consider for our schools. So we're making these upgrades as well. They typically are tested once or twice throughout the year to make sure they run correctly, unless they're kicked on in the case of a power failure. And then we also had there's not a picture here, but we also did some paving work around the playground area at Mill Creek School. This is Western Avenue, so you can see the unit ventilators that are there, wall and floor. You can see the boiler that we had replaced and the backup generator that was done at the school as well. And this is Williamsburg, so here's an example of a different hot water heater that fit into that particular, kind of looks more like something without the top that you'd probably have in your basement. So this is an example of the hot water heater that was placed at Williamsburg. That'll be closed out with the paperwork. So a lot of times we still have some punch lists and some follow-up inspections. So most of our projects we anticipate closing by the end of the fiscal year. And Cold Trap, so this is the building we're in now. This parking area is to the north. So a little bit about that particular area. It's basically where we have our loading dock, we have our deliveries, it's our handicap ADA accessible entrance for our building. So we repaved that. There was quite a bit of extensive work that was done there with some of the lower sub-level work that was done. And so it was a little more extensive than probably our building realized. But we did do some really nice work there. It was striped, it was paved, and it's very nice for our building. We still have one other parking lot at this facility to focus on in the future. Yes, we'll be taking that up tomorrow and call with our director to see if we can identify if that was a visitor or someone else to our building. But yes, that was a non-parking area. Thank you for catching that. I did see that as well. Kesslinger Bus Garage. So this is our fueling station at the top. This is our diesel and our regular gasoline behind that's our propane. So this is the paving that went around. That is a very large parking lot, as you can see from the middle picture to the right. And we do have a lot of, buses are not your typical tonnage size vehicle. So it does get a lot of wear and tear at the parking lot. So we replaced it this year because we had the funds available. And then the other picture there is the HVAC and the air compression that's out there. What you don't see is a picture of the oil pit because that project is underway. And then we'll have some other pictures of the expansion lot in a future presentation. So these are the projects that we anticipate to be completed by the end of the fiscal year. High school's health, life, safety. And as you can see, we have all the contractors lined up. It's just a matter of completing the work and finalizing the project. The switchboard, and then again, that goes back to 2021, 22. Fabian's health, life, safety. Harrison's health, life, safety. Heartland's health, life, safety. Mill Creek's health, life, safety. Western Avenue's health, life, safety. And Williamsburg. So a lot of these we have to do when the students aren't there, or it's a matter of scheduling the contractors. So when we have breaks like spring break, our staff is still working. When we have holiday breaks, our staff is still working. And over the summer, our operations and maintenance works continue to get these projects in. So some of them are just timing so we don't disrupt the school cycle. Okay, so here's what we paid. So these are the 24-25 projects. Our unit ventilator at Western Avenue was about $3 million. Our burner at Fabian was $190,000. Our boiler system at GHS and our hot water heaters at Fabian and Western Avenue, Williamsburg, were $2.6 million. The roof at Heartland was $545,000. The Burgess Field for our track and turf was $1.2 million. Our parking lot at Kesslinger Bus Garage was just about $804,000. We had that tuck pointing done at Fabian, $109,000. Our HVAC and our air compressor at the bus garage was $348,000. Our flooring replacement, which was at Heartland, was $562,000. Our playground at Mill Creek, $46,000, and our parking lot at Williamsburg, $24,000 because that was just a seal coating. So in total, just a little over $9.5 million in projects. The projects that we have for continuous improvement from the previous year was the backup generators. That was at Mill Creek and Western Avenue for $229,000. The parking lot at the high school and Cold Trap Education Center, $62,000, and that's mostly for some of the work that was left. The boiler replacement at Mill Creek, $46,000. Boiler replacement at Western Avenue, $74,000. Health Life Safety district wide, $312,000, and our concrete and repair work throughout the district, $86,000. So we have about $812,000 of continuous improvements from the previous year. In total, we're looking at about $10.3 million of work. And these are projects that we have left to be paid. We still have the ventilator, for $327,000. The boiler, $117,000. The HVAC for $121,000. The parking lot for $230,000. Health life safety $207,000, and the switchboard for $129,000. So we still have about $1.1 million that we anticipate paying out. Okay, these are a little bit about the capital projects. So these are the 25-26. So this kind of leads into the next presentation at the next meeting, but to give you kind of an idea of what we'll be talking about, will be the air handler unit and the chiller at the high school. We'll be addressing the library renovation. We have a need for a lot of our elevators to be modernized. Either the parts or the equipment is just simply not currently there. So we'll be looking at replacing a lot of our elevator units. Our middle school north track, we're looking to replace that. Our air handler and chiller at Heartland. At Harrison, our air handler and our fire alarm system. At Mill Creek, our elevator modernization. And lastly, the expansion of our parking lot at the bus garage, which will be to the west. So these are projects that will be coming up with more detail later on this month. I would like to point out a couple things. I do want to thank Jeff Dower, Brian Peterson, Chrissy Johnson. They worked on this presentation, did a lot of the legwork, almost all of it, to be honest with you, and I have the opportunity to present that. I do want to point out, it was mentioned earlier today that last year we had about a little over $4 million in projects that we didn't complete that ended up essentially in our fund balance. And this year we're looking at about $800,000. So we got a lot of more work done this year. And you can see we were very busy with all of our staff, our projects, our contractors, our scheduling. It was the largest I can think of since I've been here that we've done all these capital projects in 1 year. And so we'll see some of that carry over next year, and a little reduction of that, but we still have a lot of work that needs to be done for the district. So that is the presentation that I have for our capital projects. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I just have one for the money guy. So it looks like from the presentation, 16 million was the budget, and then adding those two numbers up on the last two slides, 10 and 1.5, is probably about 11.5. So are we looking at a surplus in the budget, or project coming in under budget by 4.5 or so, or?
I think some of it might be timing for us. So
Okay.
I think we can get some of those done. I don't know. I have a great number for you where we're going to end up the fiscal year. Certainly, if we can get those done, we don't really want to carry over dollars to the next year. And also, in
Right.
some of these are projects that we have that we hope to get to. We may not, and some that if we do get through them all, and we have some savings, that we might have some other things that we can accomplish through those. So some of our other capital projects as well are just not only in our Fund 60, which is our major construction, but we also have some in some of the other areas, such as technology, that would also need to be done for the year. So do I think we're going to have some money left over? Hopefully less than last year. I just don't know what that will be. I think when we come back in 2 weeks, we maybe will even have a better picture for you.
Okay.
Because that will include the 25-26 capital projects plus the budget that we're looking at. And I think we'll have a little better number for you, but I think we're in a much better place than we were last year.
Thanks.
One question I have regarding our next meeting and other meetings coming up when it comes to talking about the budget and capital items, there's a lot of uncertainty on what costs are going to be increasing in the next few years. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe when you do that, just mention like we took this approach based on current events, and that way the board will know if you decided to budget something higher than maybe you would have, just in case. I think of materials and things, not even talking technology right now, just simple things like steel and concrete. So thank you.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a couple years ago when we just had a lot more uncertainty and some other fluctuation of costs. I guess the nice thing is inflation's down for now, which is good for us for buying. It's just a matter of being able to get equipment or, as you mentioned, supplies that we need.
Yeah.
But I did make a note of that, and we'll definitely address the approach that we had when we come back in 2 weeks.
Anything else?
Thanks, Todd.
All right, thank you. It's good. Now we have time to digest it until 2 weeks from now when we talk about it again. That's perfect. All right, moving on. Item number 5 is future agenda items. Nothing there. Item 6, items for recommendation to the full board. Nothing there. Item number 7 is information, legislative update. I don't have anything prepared for this meeting. Dr. Barrett, anything you want to bring up?
Probably the next meeting.
Yeah.
More, yeah.
Okay. All right, and with that, it brings us to item 8, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we stand adjourned until next time. Thank you.